NASCAR Thunder 2004. Many NASCAR fans will say that NASCAR Thunder 2004 is the best NASCAR game to come out on consoles. Why? Well, things like a deep career mode that consists of driver retirements, realistic R&D, being able to hire crew members, exhibition races, a trophy room, tons and tons of stats, and plenty of other things that make the career mode feel deep on that game. Another area that NASCAR Thunder 2004 got right was presentation, an area that other NASCAR games severely lack. NASCAR Thunder 2004 also does a great job with physics, damage, and it does a lot of little things right, like rookie stripes, the AI tires wearing, the AI taking different lines, and plenty of other little details that the game did right. Why am I bringing up NASCAR Thunder 2004 in a wishlist video for NASCAR Heat 4? That's because today I'm going to be referencing NASCAR Thunder 2004 a lot, along with other NASCAR games and other racing titles as well. In my opinion, NASCAR Thunder 2004 is the best NASCAR game to ever come out on consoles. I don't just feel that way as well. It's plenty of other people that feel that way as well. So I'm going to be referencing that game a lot today. So without further ado, yeah, what's going on, everyone? It's Elite here. I just wanted to start the video off like that because I really feel like NASCAR Thunder 2004 is a game that 704 needs to be really looking at and use as a blueprint for their future NASCAR games. If they do that, this franchise can be good going forward. Like I said, I'm going to be referencing other NASCAR games as well in this video today. So how I'm going to do this is that I got it broke up to 3 categories, kind of like what I did last year: bug fixes and improvements, career mode, and other additions. And what I mean by other additions, I mean bells and whistles, things like DNFs and caution replays, for example. So I already spoiled 2. But yeah, that's what I mean when I say other additions, other small details that I would like to see in the game. Not going to make this a crazy wish list video. I'm not going to ask for ridiculous things. When I look at this list, it's a long list of fixes and improvements mainly. I got some things listed for the career mode, and I got some things listed for other additions. But mainly, I got a laundry list of things that need to be fixed and improved so the gameplay can be great, because gameplay comes first before features. You can't just add features into a game and then next thing you know the gameplay is like shit, or you can't just half-ass some features that you add. For example, them adding the spectator mode. Yes, we got a spectator mode, but it's complete ass. And that's something I'm gonna list today. I'm gonna list some things that they can improve with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this. Another thing, real quick before I start. Sorry for the background noise. I got a Blue Yeti microphone. That's what I'm using. It captures a lot of background noise, unfortunately. So sorry about that. And another thing, I hope I don't mess up or say too much, because sometimes I do that. I'm gonna try my best not to though. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna start off with the bug fixes and improvements. The first thing is fix the caution system online. Currently, right now, the cautions don't come out when you're racing online. They come out when you're racing offline. They come out right away. When it comes to online, you gotta have multiple people flipping in order for a caution to happen. That's ridiculous. If they can fix the caution system online alone, I would be so much more happy with the online. It's been an issue since NASCAR Heat 2. I asked Sean Wilson, can they fix it in NASCAR Heat 3? And they didn't fix it for NASCAR Heat 3. They didn't even come off a patch to fix it. So I need this to be fixed because this screws over a lot of people. It screwed over me. It screwed me over before, and it screwed over a lot of other people. So it needs to be fixed. It better be fixed, because if NASCAR Heat 4 comes out and the caution system is still ain't fixed, I'm gonna be very disappointed. The next thing, fix the AI entry to pit road. Right now, the AI does stupid things when they get ready to pit. They swerve all over the place, start that whole lap, and then they get down to the bottom, and they pit. But it's the entry to pit road that they. It's that whole lap that they just does. They just swerve all over the place. They cars swing all the way up the track, and then they go all the way down, and it can screw over the players sometime. And that's something that needs to be fixed as well. The AI tires need to wear. This is something that NASCAR Thunder 2004 got, and no other NASCAR game, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't have. The AI tires wearing. It is so unfair when you take 4 tires and the AI stays out on 40 lap tires, say for example, and you can't make up time. Or vice versa. The AI takes tires, you stay out, and they can't, you're still checking away even though your tires are 40-year-old lap tires. That's not realistic. Now, of course, I'm pretty sure the player wouldn't find that frustrating because, he's still winning. But that's not realistic. The AI tires need to wear so that way it can be equal. Right now, the AI has an advantage. They tires do not wear. So that's something that I would like to see, because right now it's so frustrating when you take fresher tires and the AI don't, and you barely can't make up any time. So that's something they really got to look at and add. This right here, this next thing is, and WinValve will agree with me because I watch WinValve and I don't know how many times he got screwed over, but I have too. When the caution comes out on the white flag, the race should be over. It shouldn't be no green, white checker. Right now, when the caution happens on the last lap, you have to do a green, white checker, and that's not the rules in real life. Not to mention that's frustrating. I mean, once you take the white flag and something happens, that's it. The race should be over. Because it's frustrating because if you go to a track like Mid Ohio where the AI is just horrible at and they call so many cautions, on the restart, they're most likely going to cause another caution, and you got to continue to do restart after restart after restart, and that gets really frustrating. So that's not the rules in real life. Get the rules and penalties right, and that leads to my next thing. When you speed on pit road, it should be a drive through. It shouldn't be an extra 15 seconds on pit road. That's another rule that they got wrong on the game, the inaccurate penalty. So when you get caught speeding on pit road, you should have to do a pass through. So if you don't make the pass through within 3 laps, they stop scoring you. This is something NASCAR Inside Line had, and they did it perfectly. On NASCAR Heat, on every Heat game that came out so far, you spend an extra 15 seconds on pit road, and that was it. When you get penalized, it should be a pass through. Another penalty they need to add is if you go below your own line at super speedways, that should be a penalty as well. Inside Line had this as well, to where if you went down below your line and passed somebody, a timer will pop up and say that you got 10 seconds to get this spot back, because if not, you're going to come down pit road and serve a pass through. So this is another thing. They got to get the rules and penalties right, because right now they're so inaccurate right now. And it's been 3 games. They had 3 opportunities to fix this and they haven't. So on NASCAR Heat 4, they need to get the rules and penalties right, because it's so inaccurate right now. Improve the spectator mode. right now the spectator mode is complete garbage in my opinion. I like that they added the spectator mode, but man, you can't see the running position, you can't see the intervals, you can change the camera. That's pretty much it. That's probably like the only positive. The camera angle's not really realistic. I would like to see some realistic camera angles, like for example what Project Cars has. Project Cars does a great job with camera angles. Like if you go to Daytona that game and you look at the replay, the camera angles that you see in real life, they show in the game. So I like to see some more realistic camera angles as well. But yeah, show the player running position, show the intervals and best lap times and all this, more information on the screen when you're watching a race so you can know what's going on. Because right now it's nothing, you can't see anything. So that's another thing that they gotta fix or improve, I should say. Let us change our driver and paint scheme while we are in the lobby. This is something small. Right now, in order to change your driver or your paint scheme, you got to back out of the lobby, change it, and then try to enter back in. Sometimes you may be unfortunate because somebody may take your spot. That's something they got to really look at. It's a small issue. If they can just, I mean, every other NASCAR game let us change our paint scheme and driver while we were in the lobby, instead of being able to having to back out. So I would like to see that included. The AI needs to spread out more. Now, even though with the 2019 package, we were supposed to see pack racing, and I say that with air quotes, but that's not the case. The AI does still spread out in real life, so I would like to see them spread out in the game. I would also like to see them run different lines as well. Right now, the AI, they all try to run the bottom. They may run the middle at most. They don't run up to the wall. It's like it's a constant fight for the bottom, and I don't like that. On NASCAR Inside Line, the AI used to run multiple different grooves. NASCAR '04 and NASCAR Inside Line did this the best when it came to having the AI run different grooves, especially at tracks to where you can really move the car around and get it to work in other areas of the track, like the top side or the low side, the middle. So to have the AI spread out more and have them run different grooves, I think that would look great, because we see in real life, even with this 2019 package, we see drivers try different grooves. So that's something I would like to see. That would be a nice little touch. Let us take left side tires when we go to pit. Right now, we're going to take right side tires, and that sucks because sometimes you may want to just take lefts and not take rights. This is give us more options, and that's something this game needs to do better, in my opinion. In general, give us more options in general, and this is one of the things right here. Let us choose left side tires. Add a track bar. Let us adjust the track bar when we go to pit road as well. And Soundline had that. Improve the engine sounds. So they improved the engine sounds last year on NASCAR Heat 3, and even though they were improved, they still lacked. I just want them to continue to improve it, and hopefully it can get to that point when it's, it sounds realistic. Project Cars did a better job with the NASCAR sounds. Gran Turismo, I even say Gran Turismo did a better job with the NASCAR to making it sound like an actual NASCAR. 704 is still yet to do that. And not to mention, upper NASCAR games never had the best engine sounds. I'll say the best engine sounds I heard from like a NASCAR game, like an actual NASCAR game, was probably the Tennis games, probably NASCAR Inside Line and NASCAR 14, to where the engine sounded the best to where it sounded closest to a NASCAR. Um, but yeah, engine sounds need to be improved. Improve the physics, and when I say that, man, the ping ponging is still there. 3 games later, it's still there. So, man, like this is. I mean, I hate when you're in the middle, especially at a super speedway track, and you're in the middle, and you just start bouncing off the AI, and next thing you know, you get fucked over because of the shitty physics. The ping pong needs to be gone. Yes, they reduced it a little bit. It's still there, but it's not as bad as Heat Evolution and Heat 2, but it's still there. They need to eliminate that. Like, physics all around. I want a better tire model to where it wears out more realistically. Physics all around just need to be improved. Because right now, how the way the cars drive, it's just, it's the worst it's the worst I've seen in a NASCAR game. Yes, they improved it from Heat Evolution, but comparing it to NASCAR games, even dating back to NASCAR Thunder 2004, is still like bad. So physics and a better tire model. That's the main thing I want them to really focus on. I know they said they was going to focus on graphics, and that's the next thing on my list as well, is improve the graphics. Physics and graphics, it's at the top of my list. Right now the game looks like a joke. It looks like a PS2 game. It looks real cartoonish. When you compare it to GT Sport, Forza, Project Cars, Assetto Corsa, Dirt, F1, all these other racing games look beautiful. Beautiful graphics. You look at NASCAR Heat, from Heat Evolution to now, to Heat 3, it looks like a joke. And people, they look at the game. You got some people out there that just look at graphics and just say, "Oh, that game's garbage." I already know it is. Sometimes a game can have garbage graphics and still play good. Unfortunately, that's not the case for NASCAR Heat. It doesn't play that good either. But please, just the physics need to be improved. The crash physics, that's another thing. The crash physics look horrible on these games. They haven't really changed it from the first NASCAR Heat game. So yeah, graphics and physics, man, that needs to be at the top of the list, to be honest. When it comes to everything I named so far, yes, it needs to happen, but this stuff is at the top of the list. Something small, get rid of the playoffs for the Dirt Series. Right now they have a playoff for the Dirt Series in the career mode, and Dirt doesn't have a playoff, so I would like for them to get rid of that. Improve the bump drafting for online. Right now, you cannot get a run. You cannot, when you bump draft online, you don't feel like you gaining nothing on the inside lane. Cause the inside lane is the dominant lane on these games. So when you move up and you're trying to bump draft people, you don't go anywhere at all, really, barely. When you bump draft, if anything, when you bump draft, you go slower. So it'd be nice. They got the bump drafting pretty realistic when it comes to the offline. In a way, when you bump draft an AI car offline, they kind of get shoved ahead a little bit, and it moves the line a little bit. I would like to see that in online, to where when you bump draft somebody, they kind of get shoved ahead, not too far ahead, but just a little bit, and then the line can start going, and that can probably get the line to start moving. Because right now, man, when you try to bump draft and everybody jumps up to the high side, now the only way you can make it work is that if you got like 5 cars up high and 3 cars down low, okay, you're gonna pass the guys at the bottom. But right now, it's just not realistic. So Another thing I would like to see improved is this is the last thing too for bug fixes and improvements. Man, the paint booth needs to be improved. We don't have a paint booth, but the create a car system, whatever you want to call it. Um, no, I don't think these guys are going to add a paint booth like a Utechnic style, Gran Turismo style, Forza style paint booth. But I think they can improve on what they got now. All they got to do really is just add more sponsors, more templates. Like give us like 30 templates of paint schemes. I'll be happy with that at least. And then they can continue to add more every time they come off an update. Shit, I'll pay for them. If they want to include that in DLC, I'll pay for them. But they gotta add more customization because the customization is severely lacking. More sponsors, more templates, fonts, being able to put your name on the car, being able to color the spoiler and the splitter, uh, contingencies, all that. We should have more customization. Like I said, I don't think what they got now is terrible. Trust me, I would love to see a paint booth, but I think what they got now is good, at least. They just gotta add more to it. Maybe NASCAR Heat 5, they can add a paint booth, a full blown paint booth, to where like, you got all the freedom in the world, you can do whatever you want. But right now, just add more to what you got now, and then I'll be happy. Players want to customize. They want a lot of customization. If you give people plenty of options for sponsors and templates, number fonts, because right now the font that they give you is shitty. It looks really shitty. So yeah, that would be nice. Being able to color the spoiler, being able to put your name on a card, that would be freaking nice. So please do something with the paint booth because they didn't even touch it the last on NASCAR Heat 3. They didn't even bother to improve it. The only thing they did was that when you selecting a sponsor, it will actually go to that area of the car. The camera will move to that area of the car instead of just having the car rotate. It will actually move to that area. Whoop de doo. That's I guess that's fine. But anyway, moving on to the next thing. The next category, which is the career mode. Like I said, it's not a laundry list of things like how it was with the bugs and fixes, but it is. I got a lot of ideas that can make the career mode feel just realistic, that can keep you playing. That's the main thing. I want to continue to play the career mode, not play it for a month or two and then be done with it and then wait another fucking 10 months until the NASCAR game come out. The next NASCAR game come out. I mean, the goal for the 704 is to make that career mode so good that to where it'll keep the player playing until the next NASCAR game. That wasn't the case with Heat 2 or Heat 3. It definitely wasn't the case with Heat Evolution. And going back to the Utechnics era, that wasn't the case as well. So let me go ahead and get started. Let us hire drivers. Right now, you can run trucks in Xfinity. You can run dirt and cup. You can run trucks and cup. You can run 3 series. You can run 4 series if you want to. You can run all 4 series. Not everybody wants to do all that racing. It'll be nice to where you can select. You can hire drivers and have them drive your truck or cup car, whatever you want them to drive, whatever series you want them to drive in. And I don't know how they will do it. I remember on NASCAR 2005 and NASCAR 06, when you hire a driver, you couldn't watch them race, which was kind of disappointing. But, and I don't know if they'll go into that detail either. They'll go into that much detail with it yet. But it would be nice if you can watch your driver throughout that race and maybe even coach him or her. That's another thing. Let us be able to select from female drivers as well instead of guy drivers. It'd be nice because on 05 and 06 it was just you could just select men, and that was pretty much it when it came to hiring drivers. But yeah, let us be able to hire drivers, and if they don't let us watch, our driver doing those races, let us, show us the results, and like how they did with '04. I mean, not '04, '05 and '06, where they started at. Let us see their stats and all that. And when you're going through, I guess you could say, the free agents or the drivers that you hiring, I think they should have a letter grade to like each type of track. So okay, this driver is good at super speedways. This driver weaknesses, their strengths is super speedways and road courses, and their weaknesses road courses and mile and a halves. I think that would be nice to see. So instead of just choosing, the highest rating driver, like if they was like a 5-star driver or something like that, obviously you'll go with that person. But do you want a driver that that's better, that's a mile and a half, or short track guy? Do you want a road course guy? Like, I think that would be nice if they had some attributes instead of just a star system. The next thing, and this is very, very, very important, in my opinion, presentation. Pre-race and post-race presentation. Now, I'm going to make another video on this talking about this, like this area of presentation later on, before Heat 4 comes out, of course. But, man, I would be happy if they could just have the commentary. I don't care if it's Fox, NBC, PRN, MRN. It doesn't have to be all four of them. Even I would like for it to be all four of them, so it won't get repetitive. But man, like, have the commentary talk about you, the player, your stats up to that point, your relationship with the drivers, and what the fans think of you. Show some information next to the side, like your stats at that track or something like that, where they're talking while they're showing your car, and things like that. And talk about the AI drivers as well. Talk about Jimmy Johnson or the season he's having, or talk about his history. Like, yeah, Jimmy Johnson has this many wins at Auto Club, or he's this dominant at Dover and all that, and things like that. Like, and then have the flyover, basically what NASCAR Thunder 2004 had. Go through the starting grid, have the commentary, name the sponsor, who's starting where, if they're the points leader. And then one other thing I would like to see, since there's a playoff system now, and this is something NASCAR Thunder 2004 didn't have because they didn't have no chase at the time. When you're going through the starting grid, highlight the drivers that's in green. Green means they're in the chase. If it's not, if their name not highlighted in green, that means they're not in the chase. I think that'd be nice. It'd be nice if when the playoffs start, the commentary kind of speaks about the playoffs, like he's this many points out, or I don't know if they'll go into that much detail with it, but they can at least say that this is race 1 of the playoffs or something like that, and this is an important race. Talk about the elimination race. Things like that. I mean, that brings the game to life. Post-race presentation. Talk about you at the end of the race. Like, what happened? Did you get into it with a driver? How do you run? That would be nice. Another thing I would like to see, and I don't know if they're gonna add it. They might not. They don't even have presentation in these games right now, so they might not do it. I mean, like I said, I'll just be happy with them adding pre-race and post-race, and that's it. And they don't have to go this far yet. Maybe with Heat 5, but answering questions to the media. And like I said, I'm going to get more into detail with this in another video, but basically, when you answer questions to the media, it affects your fan popularity, and it affects your team popularity, and it affects how you are as a person as well, like your personality. So you remember on NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005, they had a hero and villain status thing. When you got back to the menu, and if the meter was blue, that means you was like a hero. If it was red, you was a villain. If they was to if you answer the questions, and if you're a dick to the media, pretty much kind of like how Kyle Busch or Tony Stewart was, it's gonna affect your fan popularity. Another thing is that if you I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to think of this. If you end up burying your pit crew, so if the media asks you what cost you the race today, and you say your pit crew, like your pit crew sucked today or something like that, that can lower their confidence, and that's gonna affect them in the next race. It may lead to them causing more mistakes because you buried them. So you hear drivers like Kevin Harvick bury his pit crew a lot in real life when they not doing what they supposed to do, or they having a slow stop or whatever. Like if you bury your pit crew and say that that's what cost you the race, that's going to lower their confidence. Or if you say that your cars were junk today, that's going to affect your guys back at the shop. That's going to affect their attributes or whatever, their confidence. And then you may see like a -5 all next to their names, and the cars that you receive may not be all that great. It's like when you answer the media questions, it should affect your career mode. Like it should affect your team, your popularity, everything. So like I said, I don't think they're gonna add that. Like I said, I'll just be happy with pre-race and post-race presentation. Literally, like if they could just get that in, it could be Fox, it could be PRN, whoever, just get some presentation into the game. Another thing I like to see, and this is the last thing, is that if you get into it with a driver and he's your rival, I think it should be a post-race like fight. And it's not actual fight, but like y'all getting each other faces and yell at each other, kind of like when NASCAR 05 had in 06. I think that would be cool. And victory lane celebration needs to be less generic. I would like to see the car roll into victory lane, and your pit crew members is like slapping the hood of the car and like, yeah, buddy, we got it done and all that. So that would be nice. And just have some music playing in the background, or like some good music playing in the background while you like your car's rolling to victory lane, like NASCAR 2004. Have the pit crew members high-fiving each other, spraying champagne around. That would be nice. Because right now, celebrations on NASCAR Heat looks generic, and it looks bad. I hope you guys are still tuning in at this point. I'm 33 minutes in. Almost done with the career mode part. Got a couple more categories. A couple more things on the list. Stats. Stats are severely lacking right now. The stats that we got on NASCAR Heat 2 and 3 is not enough. All they show is like wins, top 10s, top 5s, and how many championships you got. That's it. That's literally it. It needs to be wins, top 5s, top 10s, how many DNFs you got, how many laps led, how many laps completed, your top speed, your best points finish, your just they need to add more stats. Rookie of the year, manufacturer standings, just all of that. That will make it. People like to look at stuff like that. 3 games now to where the stats are severely lacking. Actually, when you look back at it, 6 or 7 games, because after EA, man, Utendis didn't add any stats, and 704 got very, very little stats. They need to add a deep amount of stats That's important. I want to look, and when you look at your stats, here's how they should do it: break it up into categories. So obviously, it's 4 series in the game, unless they add another series, which they better not. But if they it's 4 series in the game. So it's dirt, trucks, Xfinity, Cup. When you go to stats, select what series you want to select. If you click Xfinity, do you want to look at career total? Or do you want to look by season by season? When you click season by season, it shows your season by season Xfinity stats, and it should be like that for every series that you go through. If you want to look at your total stats for that series, cool. You can look at your total stats, but they should break it up, because that was the great thing about NASCAR Thunder 2004. They just didn't compile. They just didn't pile all your stats all together. You could break it up season by season. So, the year 2009, 2019, 2020, 2021, and so on and so on. Like you can look at that and see how you did the previous. You can compare seasons. How many championships? Like, was your average finish better? Like, people don't look at stuff like that. So that would be nice. I just want to see a lot more information, because right now there's no information to look at really besides wins, top fives, top tens, and championships. And you can't, like I said, you can't break it up season by season. Another thing I want to see is that being able to look at other drivers' stats. So the AI can add stats. So the drivers in the career mode can add on to these stats, kind of like in Thunder 2004. So if Keselowski was to win another championship and get more wins, if he was to get 5 wins in the season on the game, I don't know how many he got in real life. I think he got like 28. If he scores 5 wins, on the game and gets another championship, that should add on to his stats. So it'd be nice to look at other drivers' stats as well and see how they're piling their stats. So better R&D system, make it similar to 04. So tire grip, tire wear, when it comes to the chassis, when it comes to the engine power and efficiency, and being able to select through chassis and engines. And when it comes to bodies, draft and downforce, it should be exactly like NASCAR Thunder 2004, instead of just having aero, suspension, and engine. I feel like NASCAR Thunder 2004 made it more realistic when they came to that, instead of assigning and that's another thing. When you hire crew members and fabricators and stuff, they should have stats next to their name. Like, it should be as like, if you ever played NASCAR Thunder 2004, you know what I'm talking about. When you hire fabricators and all that, and engine builders, they next to their name, it shows like a bunch of information, how old they are, like, will your super speedway cars be good, short track, like the stats for the super speedway cars, the short track cars, the road courses, etc. Those should be they should show that information when you're going through that list of hiring crew members. So they need to go into that type of detail, because right now when you hire employees, you just assign them to whatever. You don't assign them to. They don't break it up into separate categories. You just assign them, like, one week they could be doing suspension, the next week they could be doing engine, like working on the engine and stuff. Like, that's how it is on NASCAR Heat 3. I want them to break it up and then go into more detail. It needs to be like NASCAR Thunder 2004. I feel like Thunder 2004 did the best with that. If we damage our car, we should have to repair it. It should cost to repair it. NASCAR Thunder 2004 did this as well. So when you damage a car and the attributes, the the car is not in good condition. The condition is low, and then you have to repair it. That's how it should be when you're on your career mode on NASCAR Heat 4. If you damage that car, it should cost money to repair it. So that way, and then you can't, like, you can repair that chassis. Like, the chassis takes the body and all that, everything. The basically the attributes on the car is low. The body, the chassis, everything is just, if you wreck that, if you DNF basically with that car, everything on that, every attributes is gonna go down. So that should be the case with that. Test sessions, I like to see test sessions return in the career mode. Right now you get hot seats, and I don't know what they're gonna do with the hot seats in the next game. I don't know if they're gonna get rid of them or just keep them. But I feel like in order to have, if they're gonna keep hot seats, I think they should have test sessions first, and then you get a chance at that ride instead of just randomly getting that ride. I think they should have like a test session. If you run, it shouldn't just be run this lap time, you get a chance to this ride. I think that you should have to run, this average time. You get 10 laps, you got to run this average time in 10 laps or something like that, and then you get a chance at that ride. I don't think it should just be get this lap time, then you get the ride like how it was on NASCAR 05 and 06. I think it should be, you should have to run a good average time, and then if they see that, you get a call or a message or whatever, and then they tell you that you get an opportunity in this truck. And another thing, you shouldn't get a hot seat with a big team right away. You shouldn't. I feel like that you should have to really work your way up. You should really have to put in a lot of work in order to get a big team offer. Because on NASCAR Heat 2 and 3, when you get offers, you get in your first season, you get a big team offer already. Like a Penske will call you, or Junior Motorsports, or a GMS, whatever series you're in, you basically get a call for them already, and that's not realistic. So they need to make that more realistic. Rookie stripes on cars, and that leads to driver retirements as well. So if a driver retires on the game and they put a fantasy driver in the car and he's never drove in that series, he should have rookie stripes on his car, just like how Thunder Tizer 4 had it. So if Jimmy Johnson retires, it should be rookie stripes on his car. Driver retirements in general, I don't know how they're gonna do it. I would like to see them add fantasy drivers, and it's a list of free agents, and those free agents go to that retired driver's car. So if Jimmy Johnson retires, that fantasy driver gets put in that car, or they can do it to where it's whoever they got in the Xfinity series. So if Jimmy Johnson retires and Noah Gragson moves up, because Junior Motorsports, and that's basically the Hendrick Motorsports of the Xfinity series. So if Jimmy Johnson retires, either not Tyler Reddick, he's not part of RCR no more. I mean, he's not part of Junior Motorsports no more. If Jimmy Johnson retires, Noah Gragson takes that ride, or Justin Allgaier, or Michael Annett, one of them, it'll end up being random. Every driver should be able to retire on even if they're young. I think that should be the case with everybody on that game. And like I said, I don't know how they're gonna make it work. It can be either fantasy drivers or it can be uh, the drivers that's in the lower series that can take that Cup drivers ride. So like I said, Dream Motorsports is the basically the Hendrick Motorsports in the Xfinity series. If Keselowski was to retire, Austin Cindric could get moved up. um, so that's how it should work. Two more things. A trophy room needs to be added, and I feel like they need to add the exhibition races because we haven't had the exhibition races in the NASCAR games since NASCAR, the EA NASCAR games. Oh no, Utendis actually. The Utendis NASCAR games was the last NASCAR games we had the exhibition races in. So that would be nice to have. And the last idea I got for the career mode is if you own a team, I feel like that you shouldn't be locked into every race. I don't know how they're gonna implement the charter system. They probably won't, but I feel like if you own a team, not if you're driving for a team, but if you own a team, you shouldn't be locked into every race. I think that um you should have to qualify your way in. So if you're especially so when you first starting out and you missed a race, the game sends you back to the main menu and said that better luck next time, you didn't qualify on time. I think it would be so much fun because you trying to just imagine trying to race your way into the Daytona 500 and you don't qualify on speed. You don't qualify your way in on speed, so you got to rely on the duels. That would be pretty epic in my opinion. I think that would be freaking nice. Um, that would be that would be fun. I mean, it would actually be fun to qualify on the game, and this is only if you own a team. If you drive for a team, you should be locked into every race. If you drive for your own team, and the game should let you know this, like now you own your own team, you're not locked into every race. So it's gonna be really rough when you first start off because you don't have the best power, you don't have the best suspension and all that, best aero. You don't got none of that. Tire grip is low, like you're struggling. So it's gonna be a struggle when you first start out. But I always wanted to see that in the NASCAR game because the older NASCAR games had a chance to do that, but they just didn't. So, because I remember back then, fantasy used to be a bunch of fantasy drivers that used to at least attempt one race, and I've always felt like that it would be nice if they had you qualify in on time. You had to qualify your way in instead of being automatically locked into the show. I feel like that could have made those older NASCAR games even better. I always wanted to see that. I hope they can add something like that in Heat 4. If not, maybe Heat 5. So that's it for the career mode. I know I'm missing some things probably from there for the career mode, but I feel like I feel like they can get 70. It'd be nice if they can get 75% of that stuff in, and that would make the career mode longevity. The longevity for the career mode would be there for sure. So that would be fantastic if they can just add those things into the career mode. At least 75% of it, because then I will be playing from when the game comes out all up until the next NASCAR game. Along, of course, they fix the gameplay issues and the bugs and fixes, the bugs and glitches. I mean, so this is the last category, and then I'll be done. Other additions, DNFs. Right now, you go into these races and you're not scared at all. You're not scared going into these races because if you wreck, you're not going to DNF. You're just going to be able to go down pit road and get your car repaired and then get back on the track. You should be able to DNF in these games. We had it in NASCAR Thunder 2004. We had it in all EA Sports NASCAR games. I think they had it in one NASCAR game, and that was Inside Line. But it was real difficult to DNF in that game. Like, it was rare when it happened, from my experience. So I would like for them to add DNFs. It needs to be in there because it's been missing for a while now. Adding DNFs, it'll actually make the player a little bit nervous going into a race, and because if you wreck hard, you will be out the race most likely. A track map. This is something that a lot of people have been asking for, and I would also like to see a ticker as well that goes across the screen. An option menu when the player pauses the game, so that way we can adjust things like controls, visuals, and sound. That would be nice. Instead of having to back out over to the menu, we should be able to just pause the game, go to controls, or go to options, choose controls. If the controls are not how the way we want to set up, we should be able to adjust that from the pause menu. A private testing mode, so that way if you want to test out a setup, no AI on the track, just you and you working on your car. And speaking of setups, that leads to my next thing. Being able to they need to have like a thing to where project, like how project cars have, to where you ask your crew chief, you tell your crew chief what's wrong with the car, and they got like a some pre-selected like responses, like the car's loose going to the turn, or the car is tight coming off, it's loose in the center, it's tight in the center, and then the crew chief will suggest what to do with the car, and he'll make those adjustments. This is something that Project Cars 2 has, and it helps big time because not everybody is a setup guy. So I think that will really help if you're not a setup guy. And another thing they need to have is descriptions next to everything that you can do to the car. Like, if you make this adjustment, what would it do to the car? So that way you have a better understanding of what you're doing with the car. And the last thing is more camera views. Right now we got 3 camera views. I want the roof cam to return. The roof cam was on NASCAR Inside Line, and it was also on NASCAR 14 as well, and that was my favorite camera view. It would be nice if that can return. Just need more camera views, like at least 2 more, and then I'll be happy at least. Mainly that roof cam though. And that's my list for NASCAR Heat 4. Like I said, there wasn't a ton of things, like a bunch of ridiculous things, but I think if they can add at least 70% of this stuff into the game, I'll be happy. 65 to 70% of this stuff into the game, I will be happy. For sure. Will it be the best NASCAR game? No, I think 04 still had the slight advantage, but I think it'll be on like right near 04 in terms of quality and everything. So I'm not asking the Sony 4 to give us the best NASCAR game ever, but man, just make these games be on par with the EA games. If they can do that, talk about at least with NASCAR Heat 4, that would be great. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys stayed around. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and till next time, I'll catch you guys later. Peace. Just can't hit this wall.
Spotter, are you serious? That was a good ass race, man. That was a good ass race.